One question we get a lot is, how long does a typical saw blade last? Well, that's a tricky question because it really varies greatly depending on how often the saw is used, the type of material you are cutting, and of course the quality of the saw blade being used. Because of all these variables, a better question would be, how do you tell when your panel saw blade needs sharpening or replacing? Here are 3 great ways to determine when your saw blade needs to be replaced or sharpened. Number 1, the quality of the cut. Well, this is pretty obvious. When the cut quality in your panel saw is no longer acceptable, it is time to change your blade. Running a dull blade to get a few more cuts will yield a worse cut quality and result in diminished sharpening life of the blade. At the first sign of material chipping, remove the blade and replace it with a new or professionally sharpened one. Number 2, the sound of the motor. Pay attention and listen to the sound of the motor and blade. A trained ear can tell from the sound of the machine when the blade is working harder. A sharp blade requires less horsepower and cuts much easier and quieter than a dull blade. Essentially what's happening is the machine's amperage draw increases because the material is more difficult to push through the blade, causing the motor to sound louder. After you get a little experience on your panel saw, you will be able to tell the difference. And number 3, visual inspection. Visual blade inspections are good disciplines that for some reason most operators seem to neglect. Chipped teeth or rounded edges are sure signs that your blade needs to be replaced or sharpened. It is very important that the blade is sharpened as soon as visible saw blade deterioration occurs. The blade will dull up much faster if the blade continues to be used, resulting in more of the tip having to be removed in order to get a new sharp edge. This decreases the life of the saw blade and increases operating costs overall.